Hello, do another face off for you today. We've got two Carl Victors, little cases. They are nearly the same razor, and I've done this for a reason, which I will explain. So we've got a, hang on, let me get them out of the box, get out of the way. Original boxes, right. So we've got a Carl Victor number 8, and I don't think this one's been shaved with before. Like, obviously I can't really confirm that, but it's got no real signs of use or wear. And when I checked the edge under a microscope, you know, frankly it looked like a factory edge to me, but you know, I could be wrong. It's got a really nice hollow ground. It's not as fine as an MK, like 30, well MK29 is really fine, 30 is really fine, 31 is really fine, and for the size the 32 is really fine. I've never had a 33, so I couldn't really tell. And the other one we've got is this MK7, which, hang on, sorry, I was a bit, which is very similar in shape and style. Do you see the MK? Sorry, the number 7. No thumb notch on these. It's generally only the MK version that has the thumb notch, but they've are both very similar. Like, you know, and some say there's no rhythm and rhyme to the numbers, and I do agree, like, to a point. But even the width of these is it's within a mil, so they are quite close. This one's got a bit more weight to the shank, I'd say, but if you look at the kind of like the actual grind pattern and everything, don't know if that's showing up. Hang on, see if I can get it to focus. It's the thing with all these modern cameras, man, they got like, well, technology in them to focus on eyes and mouths and stuff. But yeah, they're very similar. They are the same length as well. There's a bit more weight to the kind of shoulder area, but yeah, both the same. Hang on, let me have another look. The MK9 has probably got a bit more of a finer grind, but you know, they're grinding to an idea. You know, at the end of the day, it was a man sat in his grinding chair doing the grinding, so there's going to be some variations on the desired pattern of grind. Yeah, so what I've done is I've picked two razors that are very much similar and very much the same kind of steel, where you imagine anyway. I believe they're some from the same era, or at least rough era, and the way you kind of can tell that is from the stamps. The maker's stamps are roughly the same, or at least they are very similar. And also just the scales, like the older you get with the Carl Victors, the more likely they're going to have some natural scales. You know, they're very similar, frankly. This scale's a little bit more pointy on the ends than that one, but again, many different individuals made the same razors, so it's very hard to say. But why I have picked the same razors, by the way, or at least very similar, is this has got a Water of Ayr edge, and this number 8 has got my normal JNAT barber's edge, barber's stone. Yeah, so I thought I'd do a little face-off basically with the two different stones. I've only shaved once with the Water of Ayr stone that I got a few weeks ago, and it seems like a lovely stone. It kind of sounds a bit like the JNAT, gives the same kind of frosty edge, so I'm relatively hopeful already that it's going to give me really consistent edges, just like the JNAT has really. I've never had an edge off the JNAT yet that's failed shave test. I've had one razor that failed near the heel a little bit when I was shave testing near the heel and that, and it weren't really plucking the hairs off nice. But that's me, you know what I mean? That was my, you know, and I did actually think something might be a matter with that razor when I was looking under it, under the scope, and just, you know, giving it the old thumb test and feel test and whatnot. But I thought it might be alright, but it weren't, you know. So that's gone back into the box of needing a touch up. Lovely steel on both of these. The number 8 sounded quite different on the strops and sounded lovely on the stones as well, really did. Which is normal for the old Coal Victors, frankly. Got 2 days growth. BOKS, Kent, and the old Captain Fawcett's. Lovely, lovely soap. Alright, let's get with it. I've had some lovely razors come in this week. I've got a 14 pattern come in. I forget what the name of them, but it's Hope, H-O-P-P-E. And supposedly he was somebody that worked for J.A. Hengel's. I think he specialised in grinding and stuff. And then, but I believe with some form of permission from J.A. Hengel's, he started up his own entity, because he even shared J.A. Hengel's name for a while, because I've got a number 16 that's got his name on it with J.A. Hengel's. I'll show you that at some point. It's a bit of a clanger, but it shaves well. Yeah, and so like I've got one that's got J.A. Hengel's and this, is it Eugene Hope? It's definitely H-O-P-P-E. So there was definitely some sort of affiliation with him, because like I said, at some point he was sharing the actual J.A. Hengel's name, and then all of a sudden J.A. Hengel's I think disappeared, and then he started his own thing. And I think he did specialise in the 14 patterns, because there's a tremendous amount still left that are 14 patterns, which is always interesting, like, because those 14 patterns are a bit like the Philharmonicas and everything. They're still a bit of a mystery, aren't they? Like, nobody can really nail down, you know, who made them, who ground them. I'm kind of in the camp of that they're probably German blades, and then they were just ground by whoever. Who knows, eh? Through the passage of time, man, everything gets lost in this world, doesn't it? Right, let's do bloody tap. Let's do the number 8. There's barely a mark on it. There's a few watermarks down here near the heel. That's the outside, and on that side it's, well, to me it's just factory finish. Slightly satinish, and you get that with some of these J.A. Hengel's. Like, I sold an absolute beaut of a razor to a gentleman in America, and it was just a lovely satin finish that was. Well, this is the number 8. This is Jana Edge, and as usual, that Jana Edge is, well, pretty amazing. Let's check the heel. Yep. It's always easy to get your razor shave ready. Apart from your heel on a lot of razors, it's your heel normally that is your problem area. Some razors, like if they're my keepers and whatnot, I don't really care too much, because frankly I don't shave with my heel hardly at all, especially that first like 10 mil, like 4/8 or something. Well, not 3/8. Pardon. But obviously, if it's one that I'm planning on going on, cool. Yeah, that edge. The point nearly got me then. I didn't dead the edge. I thought I did on that one. I was thinking about that before I shaved. If you've got tiles, you can run it across your grout. Did it nick me? No. Moving my old tash out of the way. I took a chunk out the end of my tash the other week ago, whenever it was. Made it lopsided, weren't very happy. It's a pain in the arse to keep sort of uniform, so when you chop a bit of it off, it ain't friendly. And you can hear my daughter. She's what we call in England bang on it today. She is full of energy. She's been out, but she's coming home and she's still giving it to the world, which is lovely. It's a sign she's got a good brain, at least. Well, that's relatively smooth. It's kind of what I expect from a first pass, at least. And this is the Water of Ayr edge, the number 7. Like, it's definitely been shaved with, well, I say definitely, I believe it has, but it's got minimum home wear. There's a little bit on it actually when I glint it like that. There's a little bit on it, but quite minimal. Different sound slightly. Let's just check the corner on that. Yeah, definitely doubled up. Don't know if you can hear that on the camera. It definitely sounds different. Like an observation while I was handling and honing this number 7 is it felt stiffer than the number 8. Like, it just feels stiffer. And I suppose if you're like really critical, it probably is, well, possibly not a full hollow really. It's like 3/4 hollow, if that's a thing. It definitely holds a little bit more meat towards the very fine edge of the bevel. And it just didn't flex much when I was honing it. See, I got an MK31 in this week that was a little bit more well used than some of my others I've sort of had go through me in the last few months. Beautiful scales though, like the detailing on the scales, like the serrations and stuff in the natural scales, just beautiful. And it's got a really fine edge on it, and you do find that with the MKs, like up to the 31s especially. They can get, some of them are really fine, but the problem with that is some people's hair, it's like it's too fine basically. And I was only reading I don't know when it was now, probably a bit more than that, it's before Christmas. Like, I was reading some barbers articles from the 1890s and I think it was up to about the 1920s, something like that. And nearly every single one of them, so one of them was like a barber's treaty. Like, don't get me wrong, some of these, like, I'd call them now as almost like sales brochures in a way as well. You know, you could tell like some of them were definitely sponsored by some of the manufacturers of the day, which is really common back then as well, as it is now, you know. But nearly every single one of them was saying about how the holograms, like the really fine ones and that, they're just not for home use, like, because they take so much more care and consideration to look after. And it was really interesting. They was all basically saying like the wedge ones were better for people at home, and because they're easier to maintain, retain the edge better and whatnot. And it was just when all of the real, what we call holograms, were coming out, like the real fine ones, because of the invention from Mr. Earn of, I think it was called the Hex machine, wasn't it? H-E, was it X-E, I think? But you don't know whether it was a form of propaganda really from the old makers trying to still say there was better, you know, what's the telling, eh? But the better I've got at wedges, the better they shave. They are a bit more smoother, I think. If you get a really good edge, it take longer to get an edge, but if you get a good edge on them, I think they are slightly smoother. Problem is, I test so many razors, it's hard for me to gauge the longevity of some of the edges, if you know what I mean. I shaved mostly with a heel then. So, like the MK7 and the MK8, you don't really see. Oh, it's not MK. Sorry, I keep saying that because it's just force of habit, nearly. That is. Like this number 8 and the number 7, you just don't really see as many of them for whatever reason. But I'll tell you, they're up there with some of the best Carl Victors. Lovely razor. Right, I've got to be more careful because I keep catching my cheek a bit. Yeah, I keep catching my cheek a tiny bit, and I was thinking the other day, I was like, why am I doing that? It's because I changed what I was doing. I was putting my hand in the way, really. I was actually putting my hand in the way, and it was forcing my razor to get out of the way of my hand and stuff. So again, you've always got to be careful of what you're doing. Drying out a tiny bit. If anything, I'd say the Water of Ayr edge is a tiny bit tighter. We'll see, we'll see. Yeah, it is. It's on my left side as well, and my left side's always like my weak link, we call it, because I'm right-handed. Got a little weeper, too, actually. It's weird, because I do generally get weepers more on my left side, so sometimes that makes me think it's my technique, but like I say, I use both hands, and I'm right-handed, and that's always the spot that it shows up. Well, and a little bit under my chin. That you can hear it, that. Like you can hear it, it's a bit... always interests me how that does. So it's two razors, nearly the same. Well, possibly the same kind of steel. Obviously there's always going to be a little bit of variation in hardening and tempering. But... lovely shade now. Yeah. So it's another Water of Ayr edge. So I'm only literally two razors in, and what I'm going to do now is, because I've tested two razors and they've both come out at least, well, the Burr A1 quality razor we call it, was an exceptional shave, and I mean that was tight. But I do believe that's Swedish steel in that urn as well. But now like, I've got two edges that are basically, I can say, good. What I do now is I do a batch. I do sort of like, I don't know, I do like 5 razors now on my Water of Ayr. So then I can really kind of test it, like, you know, stand up, test it with 5 edges, get to know it a lot better. And then, yeah, see how they go basically. But I'm pretty much confident that I've now got another natural stone that is really easy to get a good edge on. Because I'm not doing nothing special, do you know what I mean? Just going through my normal progression. On my Shapton Pros. And then slurrying up my J-Nat or my Water of Ayr now. And I've got like a little, is it Nagura stone from Japan? That's meant to be roughly about 10,000 grit, at least that's what they advertised it as. So it's classed as a polishing Nagura. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong as well. And the only thing I've had issues with it is when I use a diamond plate, you see, to get my slurry. I don't like putting stuff on my natural stones too much, unless I feel like they're getting a bit clogged up or something, and then I'll just quickly rub it with my little diamond plate. Yeah, so what I do is I do the slurry in on a diamond plate, and I've got, you know, DMT plates. I've got like the dia flat sort of, what's they called? It's like a grinding plate that's like scientifically flat. And then I've got most of the DM plates from sharpening knives over the years. And what I found with the Nagura stone is if I was using sort of like my coarse DMT plate, it was creating particles that were too big, and I was actually chipping my edge. I noticed it on 2 razors that I was honing, that it just did these tiny little microchips. So I was like, oh man, it's like a crap stone. I didn't pay too much for it. But what I figured out is if I used the fine diamond plate, I've got DMT again, all DMTs, it was fine then. And again, it was because obviously it was grounding the particles smaller to start with. And when I was using the coarser grits as well for the Nagura, it was scratching my J-Nat especially, because my J-Nat's not especially hard. Like the dude I bought it off said it was a 4+. He said probably about 4 or 5, but again, it's subjective, isn't it? Yeah, so that's how I sorted it out basically, and now it seems fine. Right, I'm going to do my normal routine of drying my razors, drying everything off, cleaning my brush a bit more, stropping my razors, letting them sit for a while to dry, and then giving them a quick polish up with my Jeweler's Rogue cloth. Hope you've had a good day. Hope you've had a good shave. I'll see you again sometime soon maybe. Cheers.